Lizard Farm 2, Rise of the Computer Automated Agents by User 391. Disclaimers. This is a work of parody or rather satire. Nothing in this book is to be taken as literal fact. It is only meant to certainly contain emotional truths. The author of this book has released it into the public domain. Share and duplicate without restrictions, please. Quotation. With an army of me, we invent our own enemies. Man versus machine and the dirty second hands. Switchfoot. General information. This is a story told through poems in the style of a Broadway musical. Tiny Tim, a slave who worked on Lizard Farm, decided to take action against his workplace by saving up Bitcoin and buying the company. Destitute and stricken by heartbreak, the former owner of the Lizard Company turned to the dark arts with quantum computing and his atomic cola machine. He was able to travel back through time in hopes of reversing the actions of Tiny Tim, who he mistakenly calls Tyler. He awakens in a park somewhere in the past where he meets Martha Mary May. The rest of the story is left to the tides of fate. Poem 1. The Death of Tiny Tim. This night was like any other night. There was not even a whisper or a guide of starlight. The experience of homelessness. Martha Mary sat alone, in the cold. A chill with a spell, a chill to the bone. The air and breath of her horizon, visible, shivers. But suddenly there was a light. Memories of times before. The expenses of life price out a normal life. She waded in dreams and pain of her life, as sleep gripped Martha Mary May, straight at the throat. Suddenly in the dark there appeared a glimmer of hope, faint glittery sparks, and a small crater on the ground. There stood a kind-looking older man, and he was looking around. He was innocent as any innocent child seemed. A mask that hid his years of experience, and his ambition running wild. A calm, pathetic, determined look on his face. This man was defeated. This man was clearly put in his place. Inside his heart there was a calm that festered into a storm. A little rat poison squared had foiled everything he had built. There he sat in misery, and Martha Mary noticed a pain in her heart. She knew he had gone through a loss. She looked at this pathetic old man. She let him confide, not quite realizing he harbored a creature inside, a cute little lizard that grew in his heart. A life turned to darkness. In its misery confides,
"Let me tell you a tale, a story of my life. I once was a rich man with all the money in the world, until the day I was cheated, and it seems the times have reversed. I fought so hard to find a place of peace, and it tortured my mind. The having and the losing of a thing that I spent years in the misery of defeat. I sat in tears, and I cried my eyes out every night. If it wasn't for Tyler, if it wasn't for rat poison squared, I could have the wealth of my happiness with my lizard friends. So for years I have studied science, dark arts in the shadows, and with my associates built a powerful machine. It took quantum computing and the strongest AI. Then one day we cracked it, and I came in the middle of the night. Not 1 second longer, I came to the lab in my pajamas to step into the machine. It felt pleasant at first, and then overwhelming pain. I flew across worlds. I flew like a plane, zipped through space-time, till I arrived here, same place, different time, back to the past to undo what Tyler's done. And now I'm rich again and can defeat Tyler once and for all. Understand this is my purpose. My drive in this life, I will no longer be pathetic, but shall clutch fate with a knife."
Martha Mary just stood there, mouth open in awe. She knew the tides of this world were closing and consuming her heart.
"So I'm offering you a job. I want you to play a special part within this plan of mine. To answer some calls, we call it customer service. Won't pay you enough for a place to stay, but hey, it's a start."
And so the very next day, Martha Mary May started her work at Lizard Farm. It was a day of training, no idea what else to expect. But little did she know of what would soon be in store. There was an announcement on what used to be profit-sharing day, but an announcement instead was about to be made. Some big news in the office, some news of big change. They all filed into the auditorium, murmuring to themselves about what they might learn the powers that be, harboring in secret hearts. Thoughts of laughter and mockery, victory near complete, swallowed by the tips of vicious, greedy fingers. Martha Mary sat there gazing at the screen. She would hear about Tiny Tim, the man who gave it all to save, his hopes and his dreams, a man slandered and cheated by a literal time machine, a man who the Lizard Emperor mistook. His name for Tyler, he didn't care enough to learn the name. Of the man who set the company on fire, flames ignited of hope. And its swell, he had a mission to save, the company and associates as well. The power in his soul burned on forever. Winning by cheating isn't victory, no, never. And then the screen flickered on and off several times. Martha Mary had to blink to check if she was blind, until there appeared in clear view the precious face and voice of the Todd, a thundering voice as if from Mount Sinai, a voice of a false lord. No savior here to be found, just a man consumed by his mad dreams. To hold on to his power and light the lamps of the gaslights, flooding up the room. A spark of horror and a certain promise of doom.
Good evening. Today I have the pleasure to announce some exciting developments here on the farm. Don't get too excited. Don't writhe in your pleasure. The thrill of it all, the spell of my words. And don't fall for my charms. Today I have announcements and warnings to give. For who tried to ruin us but that fellow Tiny Tim? Don't worry at all. We took care of him. With a bitter holy war, we waged against that pathetic guy. His hopes and his dreams? Yeah, they died with a crunch. Nothing could save him, not even rat poison squared. Not much will change here. Oh, no major announcements, just the fact that we're abolishing all bathroom breaks. Yeah, you guys took too long in there. I know you went in there to cry. And here after work, we don't want you to leave. In fact, you all can stay here and make Lizard Farm a home. All who pass through security abandon all hope. And now, Tiny Tim. The traitor lies dead on the floor, next to his shattered bright shiny orb and his doctoral diploma. You'd think once or twice he'd learn his true lesson. All of you associates must learn this as a lesson. No one can stand up to or oppose the Lizard Emperor. Now I told you there would be AI. Every pen drop and movement will now be online, monitored and seen. We'll know what is up. Sneeze, cough, say something I don't like. The algorithm will pick that up. It ranks all you guys with a scoreboard in real time. Every 6 months we'll terminate the bottom-dreaded 25%, and I don't mean with a pink slip. I mean like Hunger Games went, don't try to resist. Don't call me nasty little names. By the way, with your complaining, you're all best without pay. In fact, staying ain't optional. No longer a suggestion. Stay here where you're safest and don't you ever question. And while we're working on the AI system to replace you all, no complaints, no whines or demands out of you. In fact, let's raise the standard of excellence percentage to 82. Have fun here while I go chill and relax on my new yacht. Enjoying some new wine flavours. And oh, may the odds be ever in your favour.
And Martha Mary's heart was filled with horror that day. She walked back to her desk, and to her surprise, computerized chains appeared on her wrists. If she stepped too far away from her desk, these things would go off. So she was stuck in the eternal work-day alone with her tears. No one but God could save her. She knew she'd be a slave here for many years. And what did Martha Mary do but take a pen, start scribing out words with anger, as if with the ink of her heart? She still had a soul that not even the Todd could take apart. Poem 2, Ode to the Todd.
Sit down and keep your mouth shut. Pretty little things don't resist. Keep your eyes shut to the things your heart beholds.
A mask you place on me to shield my true nature. A weapon you wielded out of control that the answers I have were never my concern. If my mouth stays shut, You want my eyes to stay blind, a voice of concern squelched under your clenched fist. The Todd you have destroyed, or what I've fought so hard to grow. I cradle worlds you will never know. I can never drop a pen, can never even breathe, but somehow my light still goes out. Let me go, the Todd. My fears enter my life uninvited. I never wanted to be here, but have no choice. My beauty taken and abused. And I feel worthless, and the life burning out like dying stars, powerless now under your terrible weight. The kindness of youth gone, and replaced by you. Your shadow follows me everywhere I go, in hallways, in courtyards, in dark alleys, unwelcome touches. I sit here, a dying light on the operating table of the workplace forever. A dying light inside, bearing its grip on me and holding me tightly. This isn't a workplace. This isn't trust. This is exploitation, manipulation, and death of what was beautiful, what longs to fly away. With clipped wings, it can no longer sit and smile like I'm told. The taste in my mouth of blood. And ask me to be like a machine, until you finally replace me with one. There is no time in the world to fill. The crater of my soul, oh archangel of insurance, lead me to healing, but the path I can't find. A world treads to hell when its leader is blind.
Poem 3, A Downward Spiral. And so Martha Mary sat at her desk. No rest for the weary, just chains. And a computer screen, mad pissed off. But all of this was suppressed, customers calling back to back. Every single customer had lots of verbal attacks. To say to her, and even the soups joined in. For this was a game that Martha Mary could not win. The archangel of insurance would answer no prayers. His gaze now distant, he cannot see. This place forsaken by God. And Martha Mary began her downward spiral. No voice, it was stifled, words impossible to express. A place of no power, a place of no rest. With each call that came in, there was a lash at her back, electric shocks and sparks. They yelled at her, "Answer it, bitch!" There was no way to avoid, a darkness that filled her, a life torn away, a silence that follows such pain and control. No mercy or patience, just what sucks out the soul. Every mistake. She watched in horror as her score on the leaderboard went down, closer and closer. To the danger zone, she began to hallucinate, and to feel memories of times long ago, places with friends, and warm times spent at home. She drifted off to sleep and fell face first into her desk. Calls kept coming in, rapidly, depleting her score, and when she awoke, there was shock in her eyes. The calls had kept coming even as she was asleep. No way to pause them, no way to stay awake. Customers kept yelling at her even, in her dreams and to her bitter horror. What did she see? Her name fell to the very bottom of the dreaded leaderboard. No hope of advancing or saving her life. No way to escape the fortress or break any chains. Every second was monitored by a watchful AI and ranked in real time. A control freak's dream, a lizard's true life. Poem 4, The Rise of the Computer Automated Agents. And with a glint in his eye, the Todd walked into the office. But he wasn't alone. He marched in with some lizards who carried him on a throne. He was only there virtually, as a computer screen, not the thought to show up. To the office, and he could only be there. As a hologram, less than a human, just like a phantom, a voice causing panic and strife. The moment his face showed up in the room, the entire service floor booed and everyone's score dropped by 100 points. A heart and a soul gone, from the lizard emperor's anointed. Hedge fund manager who turned to good. Workplace into life lived in hell, lit up the gas lights and forced his faithful to drink the holy Kool-Aid, and put their minds to death.
Special announcement to all on the floor. Pretty soon, we won't need you anymore. That's right. You'll be terminated. We're talking Hunger Games style. Fun times to be had. You'll be replaced with AI. I don't want to hear one peep or any of you cry. We all live and we lose. Life is metamorphosis. Change is the music of life. And now you have new overlords. You will all be controlled by mechanical lizards. They'll roam this office, checking to see if you go out of line, Right now, we're testing them. They'll start taking some calls. We'll slowly start replacing you, starting with the bottom. We'll keep 1%, and the rest will be replaced with AI. Drive up my profit margin. Pesky salaries get in the way, so suck up yourselves. And work for me harder. May the odds be ever in your favor. You sad motherfuckers.
And then the machines came from the shadows, started patrolling the office, looking for any signs of resistance. Martha Mary just sat there, unbelief on her face. She was last on the leaderboard. She would be the first one they would take. Deep in her heart, she echoed a bitter prayer. But would the winds of the spirit take it anywhere? Or would it be lost in the sands of lost time, lost prayers in the sky, never reaching anywhere but hell, where hopeless feelings meet the lost souls and never escape? The automated lizard agent started taking some calls. The customers kept complaining, to no real person at all.
I want to speak with a human being. Give me a robot and I'll scream.
And then answered the automated agent.
Beep, bop. Let me know how I can help you, please.
I want to talk to a person. You can't be for real.
Are you saying AI aren't people? That's discriminatory. What's your deal? You see, little bitch, you don't have any other choice. Lizard Farm bought up every other insurance that you can choose from. Have fun leaving the country. Go to a beach where there's sun.
Poem 5. The Flight from the Machines. Narrator. The flashing lights of time. Take us through tunnels. We chase its precious glow, hoping to find what gives us hope. Martha Mary's heart was shattered. During lunch break, she couldn't move or budge. So they dragged her to the lunchroom, where the sadness and gloom flooded her face, a world fallen apart, a wound too deep to heal, a life that no longer feels. Through bitter, chaotic pangs, suddenly a man approached, noticing the tears in her eyes.
I notice that your strength is failing. Here's a hot towel to your forehead. It will help with the sickness. We must act with all quickness before the gylopods circle again and hear out every word. We have the power to clean up this corporation, to carve through the wounds it caused, to break free through the brittle windows and escape this place, a free bird like the wind, to fly away, its gust sweeping us to distant lands. Take this device, clench it tight. The moment you hear the ringing bell, I need you to run fast like all hell. Out the back gate, the doors will open their way for you to the free and open world.
Martha Mary stood there with no words to say, a weight on her shoulders pushing her down, a pain like drops of rain from the sky, would follow her around for the rest of her life, but the spirit of a bird's song. Somehow, it filled up her brain, leading her somewhere, to the bright open day, calling her to beauty of freedom, enraptured by its swell. The moment she heard the ring of the bell, she made a mad dash like the force of all hell, a surrender to a deeper spirit inside, a creature that always longs to survive. She fled out the gates and they opened wide. Hotly pursued by the gylopods, she didn't care. There was new joy in her heart and sunlight. In her hair, as the life above was greater than any below. The world of ecstasy would light up her soul, a hollow shell to a whole. A freedom is power, a joy that increases, finds its place in the world. Hour by hour, she ran until she could no longer hear those vicious spinning wheels, pursuing her through the city. She caught her breath and burst out laughing in her moment of rest, knowing so deeply. There was a place inside, where truth and the wind's breath collide. She climbed the steps of the Lizard Museum, with clenched fists and anger and pain reminisced. Poem 6, in the Hall of the Lizard King. She stood there before pictures and images of a throne, and a man who loved to buy companies. While sipping his Coke, Power amassed but slowly over time. No way for him to stop it, in fact, to the danger of power. He was blind, but greater still is another unseen threat. Of silent words. Written so softly in the dark, words of poems. That will surgically take his world apart, and show him the things that composed all its parts. The power of a burning heart of fire, ready to consume whatever darkness, and spit it out in a different form, changed forever after. A single touch of the hot sharp blade, a skill as a surgeon precisely directed. Truths of the heart, now clear and reflected. Pools of water that echo. Whatever possible world. Martha Mary thought all this too.
So many possible futures, I see them all now, in which failure is certain, and then we are thrust into the ground, but somewhere there is a light, a narrow way through, leading us from skies of grey to skies of blue.
She walked all the way through the museum, wandering around like in the halls of lost time. With each step she seemed to lose her mind. Thoughts brought back to that man, Tiny Tim. Wondering what really happened to him. Had he really found a path to the light? A little rat poison squared, had won the good fight. So she walked back outside, and felt the light of the day. Museum doors swinging open. Opening a path, a way out of the darkness, a way to a home at last. Poem 7, What Martha Mary Saw on Woolworth Avenue. As Martha Mary May walked down Woolworth Avenue, she saw people in the streets holding up signs, chants in their protest demanding what they were denied. The Lizard Company buying up properties and raising the prices, a practice they hated, led by a man who exuded vices, chants, and such slogans, that Martha Mary. Understood in their spirit, a determination to fight the spirit of bankruptcy. I'm not talking financially. I'm talking about the soul. No one can be so depraved without paying a toll. For the rich man shall not find the path. No way for his victory. A world upside down. He will be nothing to history. Just a mark on a map. That will be soon burned away. A blotch misleading people. Never giving those in need any raise. A patience, but to him a twisting. No path to the light. A corporation encompassed by eternal night. And so the people gathered, and together they sang. Songs for the future, songs the Beatles wrote. Songs of a love, like hymns to the truth. The future passes away like even dust in the wind. All that we'll remember is the love we held within. And so there approached a brave man to the podium. He had worlds to say, and his truth was outspoken. He pulled his hair from his face and began to speak. He was so young, but his wisdom was unmatched, and a protester, a poet, words no longer on a leash.
My friends, we stand here at the precipice of a choice each day. The time we have been given is precious. Unlimited power in our hands, tragedies happen, but we must never forget Tiny Tim, what he sacrificed. For truth, in unwavering faith, a little rat poisoned squared, was to the lizard emperor like a wraith, a boogeyman of truth. Someone to blame, but sound monetary policy is nothing but life in all its honesty. Impossible to cheat someone. With money that's sound, the Lizard Company is truly bankrupt, bereft of all love. Its time, its current, all these things passing away. All we can do is hold heads up high and greet the new days as they come, one moment at a time. Walk with your eyes open and enjoy the simple things in life.
A world where bitter people
Lie, cheat, and steal is a world where we are deprived of the things we love most, but what we really need is to pay attention to the eternal spirits that seem to thrive here like ghosts. No way to ignore them or chase them away. Like our voices in chaos, they're always the same. Even if history doesn't grant us this victory, eternity will ask us, and we shall answer its call, telling the world we were honest against even those who seemed too big to fall.
Suddenly in the distance there appeared quite a pack. Of riot gear-wearing wolves they were posed to attack, to ruin freedom, to ruin any sign of fun. Free voices were cheering, and Mr. Silverstein urged them to remain calm. Martha Mary just stood there, caught up in the crowd. When chaos ensued and encircled her all around, panicked voices whipped up into a mighty tornado, a life in its ocean, surrounded by uncertainty. As tear gas flooded the atmosphere, Martha Mary fell unconscious to the ground. When she woke up, she noticed the crowds had subsided. She couldn't move, but gone was every echo of violence. Instead, a man approached her. He moved. Closer each second. He looked like a ghost. He looked like a phantom.
Martha Mary, you must be strong, for the fate of all worlds are turning. Be a force for good here, and wield your light like a sword. For lizards and stuff of nightmares thrive in the darkness, and bask in their control, a Neanderthal with them. And an annoying camel too, but against all these nightmares, you must endure. A secret fire within your heart and its song will implore. Go back to the office and challenge the Todd to an epic rap battle, a battle of song. It is the only way to defeat him, to lead the people to victory. This will inspire something magical, a Bitcoin trust fund, in honor of Tiny Tim who fought, with rat poison squared. But when all of us invest in it together, they better be scared, saving up money in a trust with rules. That will change the rules when it buys up the company. $2 trillion is nothing. And fiat is quite ruthless and worthless. The wrath of the Fremen. When Lizard stock drops to nothing, the controversy has caused a stir. The other day, it dipped to $50 a pop, and that was what caused Robinhood to pause it, the selling of the stock. But together, all associates will have power. Over the villains of our lives, take this message to heart. I am not even alive. I am quite a ghost, but I died a free man, so in fact I am still alive. Never betraying my values, always true to my friends. Stand up for what you believe. It's the only way this ends. You see over there? Both of us see it. A vision of a young boy selling cokes on the street. A man who had a vision to buy up some stock, but he let the stock turn to darkness and flow through his veins. But this won't happen to us if we buy it, only to give it away. The vision is fading, but have strength in my arms, the arms of a phantom holding you up. Go inspire the lizard slaves, and do not give up your heart. For in the arms of a visionary is where all revolution starts. You are the symbol, just like a mockingjay, a holy war that approaches. You'll lead them to freedom one day.
Martha Mary wasn't quite certain how delusional she was. A piece of the future, a sweet hymn to love, filled up her soul and offered her compassion. It told her there might be hope. And now she lay alone on the floor of the street, empty bottles and smashed windows. All around her, this world turned to darkness and monopoly control, a pain in her heart, finally taking its toll, taxing her to death, taking everything it could, until she had nothing left, except for a song deep inside, a hymn for the dead, and a hymn for all here alive. Poem 8, The Ghost of Mickey Mouse, as Mickey Mouse walked away. Martha Mary begged him to stay. He told her to follow him. As he walked into the mist, a kiss of the vapor, a light of some flames. This was a true vision, a dangerous game. She saw so many visions. She saw Lizard Emperor as a kid, on every street corner, selling bottles of Coke. She now knew that being free was more important than life. For consolidation of bitter power can happen faster than you can blink. Then suddenly the vision changed. She saw the Todd on his new yacht, trying some new wine flavors. He was boasting about. She saw how pathetic and useless he was, with how he treated those under his spell. A bitter, desperate anthem then began to swell inside Martha Mary's veins, calling her to sing it in the bitter sands of time. The vision once again changed, and she saw thousands of associates, shouted Tiny Tim's name, gathered together against all lizard games. This world had to change. There was a power inside. She wasn't delusional. She knew she had to fight. The holy war would commence. But it would start with a song, an epic rap battle, to right all the wrongs that, for so many years, had plagued them under lizard control. Half of a heart becomes half of a soul. A life bent and tortured but fixed on. A single goal, to buy up the company, to gain complete control. bring it to its knees and leave and never come back, find a home and place where she could rest and laugh at this pain. Poem 9. A Hymn to Love. And in that empty space, Martha Mary began to sing. A true hymn to love, a poem composed in her mind. Right there on the spot, a wrecking ball to lizard corporations and a light in this dark.
Here I stand, like a note on your heart, somewhere in that past. My heart will be full that the future and its currents, its bottomless seas, its tremendous wealth of shadows, draws me closer to salvation as the call from the lamp and an edge of a life, a pain in my numb brain, an empty place where the flood fills all the world, in bitter spaces could completely lead me back to beauty someday, that which nothingness shall never touch and enwreathes me in flames.
She rubbed her eyes and realized she had to go back and face reality, an echo of truth. So she walked back to the office, where all the lizard slaves dwelled. She walked there with speakers blaring, epic rap beats, diss tracks of the century, vicious and unstopping, its power complete, booming throughout the street. As she approached, she just stood there, outside the building. She stopped and stared them down. She spoke up with a loud voice, demanding an audience with the Todd, saying he could never resist a rap battle, he could never resist a challenge, or the thrill of yacht life. Martha Mary still stood there, a blank look on her face. And the Todd rushed to the monitor, with glee on his face.
We have her right where we want her, so you guys should fire away. Blow that bitch out of water. Send her head to the sky. Her body will explode. When we shoot out those lizard bombs.
And the bombs began to fall right on top of her head. She drowned in the chaos, and it filled up the air. No one could see her, but as the smoke cleared, she walked out unharmed and continued to demand. A rap battle with the Todd. The Todd got so angry and demanded they fire every shot that they had at her, but she just wouldn't die. So he knew what he had to do. Go downstairs and confront her, surrounded by associates, as a wall of protection. So the Todd approached with his associates behind him. There was a vicious pain that was deep inside him, telling him to run. He could never win this battle. And Martha Mary stood there shaking the speakers like a rattle. She asked to go first, and then commenced the rap battle. Poem 10, The Return of the Rapper. But as she stood there about to drop some bars, there came someone from the street. A man on a mission. A man named Kendrick B. He approached and demanded to challenge the Todd. He looked deep in the eyes of that demented false god. Martha Mary agreed. But then the Todd said,
That's not fair. I need a champion. I need someone with some skill. Because I'm a CEO, I have no rapping skill. I ain't even a poet. I never learned how to rhyme. I never even tried to. Just never had the time.
And out of the crowd there came the Todd's replacement. In this rap confrontation, a man with some skill, it was the Lizard himself. He approached with his swag and his bling and his New Zealand accent. He tapped to the beat, but his bars wouldn't relent.
I used to say this nonsense about 15%, but now I'm free to say whatever the fuck I want. But the mask comes off. I have some ambitions as well. Once in a lifetime, a lizard has a chance, looking cute at first glance. But what I wanted was to be a king. I'm the king of the lizards. You'll all be my slaves. You're stuck here. You can't think. You can't even move while I'm here dropping bars. You're stuck chained to earth. While my eyes are on the stars and the infinity gauntlet I hold in my hands, snap my fingers like Thanos and watch 6% go. Vanish in an instant and we'll fire the rest. My pen is vicious. I've got a spell to my flow. Now speak for yourself, you sad little hoe. Hide behind Kendrick B. He can't save you today. His bars aren't at my level as his last album was lame. Now take it from a lizard. I'm a cold-blooded animal. You can't even stomach me. My words are your funeral. You look like a rapper, but you stand there like a goat, a pathetic man beyond his prime. Take your ticket and go, survival of the fittest. You guys can't even pay rent. Me and the Emperor were the OG investors. We're the powers that be. More money than we can count. I don't mean to boast. I don't mean to brag. Every mote that you offered filled up my bank account. Quite a rich lizard, you're all really working for me. Go back to your own place while I make history. Come at me, bro, let's hear some good bars. Your last 3 albums were trash, and you should take that to heart.
I was born with a pen in my hand and a heart driven insane, a love and power, a spark in my brain. I'm here for my friends, develop this fellowship and to rise again against what will fade away with the dust. I was called on a mission, Tom Cruise. I live like an angel, but I sing the blues. Not impossible. I'm pointing the way to paradise in a world with no one to raise the bar, so I do it myself, saving the day, Superman, jumping over, mammon in a single bound, taking the power just to lay it down. In memory of Tiny Tim who laid his life down, you die a martyr or you become a villain. I'm here to tell you there aren't only 2 options. Life is a game and love is put up for auction. Man versus machine, enemies we created ourselves, our hearts burning within for truth. A venom is sweet to those who take it. But yeah, I'd rather just ignore the evil that pollutes this world and put my eyes to the stars, gazing forever in passion. I have a dream that we freed all the slaves. Moses opened the Red Sea, wasted no time gazing at beautiful waves. You are nothing but a slave to money, time consumed by the search for what could never satisfy me or flood me deeper with hope. I would rather be a simple goat than a green little lizard. Sitting on a throne, a bankrupt, not a king, no way back in the darkness. Blocked forever is the path back home, broken forever with no power. When taking from those most in need, you expected some venom. Well, my venom is sweet. The change to the world is coming. One simple spark at a time. A broken heart, a hand in need. Be there for those who have nothing to eat. Anyone who plays this game will lose. Lay down your power. Think of forever. You choose.
Poem 11. The Battle of a Song and the Path to Paradise. And all in the room witnessed the slow burn. As the lizard rolled back, he rolled back in defeat. His infinity gauntlet, clearly unsnappable. All in the room could see it. It was no longer deniable. So the associates burst out laughing. When Kendrick B had won the rap battle, he really won battle without a single blow. His bars were subliminal. They weren't as direct, but they echoed more truth. They hit their target exactly. The associates lifted him and paraded him around the office. The rebellion was off, and they overthrew lizard overlords. Robot and living, they all ran away. They showered praise on Martha Mary that day for her bravery. Would now lead to a holy war to free the rest of the company with a little Bitcoin trust fund. She would lead them to paradise with or without Tiny Tim. But his vision had never died. It lived forever here. That day would be forever known. As the battle of the song, a message for the future. For those who fall into love headlong, the path to paradise was paved. All they had to do was walk the path. They walked the road of love and laid down their wrath. Poem 12. After Credit Scene. This is an epic after-credit scene. Somewhere at the headquarters in Chevy Chase, Maryland, there was a thunderstorm and rain falling from the sky. The Todd marched past through security and up to the top of the tower where all the executives were at a meeting. A chair was facing away toward the sky. It slowly turned around, revealing the Lizard Emperor, disappointment and wrath swelling on his face.
The Todd, you have disappointed me for the last time. You failed to contain this little pesky rebellion. Now I can't sleep at night, and one thing is worse. Tiny Tim is alive.
The Todd's face opened up in shock. It was hard to believe. How could he be alive? He was sure Tiny Tim was dead. But then he thought to himself, they had to come up with a strategy before the lizard slaves were able to save up enough BTC.
Yes, it's just as I feared, and a darkness encroaches.
The Lizard Emperor said those words as lightning lit up the room, filling hearts with fear and singing a dark tune. But then he turned and looked the Todd straight in the eyes.
Look at this document. It's Lizard Farm 2. Now the whole world knows about us. Believe me, we're screwed.
And then the Todd replied with a glint in his eye.
Not so fast. I won't let that fiend fuck up my life. Not a second time.
The Todd led Lizard Emperor to a basement office where they kept all their weapons and secret concoctions. When they flung open the door, who did they see? But a confused little Neanderthal wearing a polo shirt, ready to take on the rebellion and put them in the dirt. There was a look of an evil laugh. When he saw them, he arched his head back and laughed in their faces. Tiny Tim will return in. Lizard Farm 3. Holy War.